sometimes your emotions just want to be heard. Back, I was like, oh, bitch, what are you doing? Like, hold up. Wait right there. Wait. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that I do not believe that me going to therapy means that you don't have to. I think that if you are suffering and you need help, that it is where you should probably be. But I understand that sometimes people can't afford it. It's not in their options, or some people just don't like it, which I can understand. That's why I'm here to give you my advice. But I do not think that my advice is the same as seeing a therapist, and I don't think you think that either. But I'm trying to help, so let's get on with it because you're not here for my disclaimer. Number 5. Therapy isn't easy. I know that sounds kind of stupid because some of you probably know that if you're clicking on this, you know therapy isn't easy, but I wanted to talk about this because therapy was hard for me. And it can sometimes still be hard. There are many times where I would come and I would sit in a chair across from my therapist and she'd be like, how are you today? And I'd be like, I don't want to be here. But I went anyway. And now I've been going for over a year and it's helped me tremendously. Going when I didn't want to because I knew she was going to make me feel my emotions and I did not want to do that at all. And because of that, but because I kept going, I got better. It's okay to not want to go, but I think you'll find that if you go anyway, you'll be better for it. Number 4. Sometimes it's just not how much someone loves you. I have 2 amazing parents and I have an amazing family that I love and I have great relationships with like everyone in my family, but that doesn't mean that their actions or that they didn't affect me in my childhood, that stuff didn't affect me to who I grew up to be. And it doesn't matter how much they were there for me and how much I know they were there for me, they'll still fuck you up some way. Number 3. Now, this is a tool that I have learnt in therapy, which has helped me tremendously in certain situations. And it's about checking in with your emotions. Now, I know that sounds weird, but hear me out, just wait. So, basically, a lot of people think that checking in with your emotions, you're trying to label them. You're trying to be like, I feel sad, I feel angry. But the truth is you don't need to do that to get past them or to feel them. And a lot of people try to avoid feeling their emotions. I definitely, that's me. You know, I am one of those people. I am someone who, I'm like, I'm just gonna think my way around it. Doesn't always work. So my therapist has made me sit, she's made me stop, and she goes, what are you feeling? You know, she makes me sit with the emotion. She says, we're gonna stop, you're gonna allow that emotion to fill your body, like fill you up and sit with that emotion. Allow your body to tell you what's going on, because your head will often just go like zoom, you know, like it won't, it's just going, okay, and it's like trying to logic your way out of it, but you need to just sit with it. It sucks, it's hard, and it takes practice, but eventually you'll be able to sit with them better and it helps. Now, the second part to this is when you're sitting with these emotions, if the emotion you're feeling, if you're finding it hard to sit with, or you don't really know what it is but you can't word it, you're going to ask yourself these questions. First thing you're going to do is you're going to sit, you're going to say, where am I feeling this? So I personally usually feel most of my emotions in my chest, but you know, there are obviously other places you can feel them. For me, my chest. Then the next question you're going to ask is, what color is it? For me, when I have asked these questions of myself, they have been usually really vibrant colors. Red, purple, green, like really big, emotional colours. And a lot of people associate colours with different things, so it can help you. It can help you narrow down what you're feeling, but you don't have to do that. The first thing you just go, what is the colour? The next question you can ask is, what shape is it? For me, most of the shapes are usually round. They're not necessarily they're not spheres necessarily all the time. Like, I've had spheres that have spikes coming off them, you know, like those spiky ball things, but like I have had one once that was like the ocean. It was like that was a much calmer one. I've had ones that looked like, in my mind, the coronavirus, you know, where it was like spiky, but then it was like shoot. I don't know. Either way, most of mine tend to be spherical type things. I don't tend to have sharp objects like triangles or squares or anything. And all of mine tend to be moving, which I personally believe is because of my heartbeat. I think that when I think of my shape of it, when I'm listening to my body hears my heartbeat. And obviously when you're in these emotions, your heart rate's usually faster, so that's when I get all my like spiky kind of shapes. Now, the next question you can ask is it hot? What temperature is it? Is it hot? Is it cold? I once had an emotion that was so hot it felt cold, and it was, it's weird, and I know all of this sounds absolutely crazy, like it sounds ridiculous, but I guarantee you it helps. I once was in a situation where I was triggered by a conversation, and I took my moment. I went in, I actually put my head down and closed my eyes, and I was like, I took a breath, and I said, Ashley, where are you feeling this? My chest? What color is it? Red. What shape is it? I think it was spiky, it was a lot, and I was, like, the person I was talking to was still sitting across from me, but I had to take this time. And they knew it was triggering me, so that was that little bit, but I then took a breath, and I went, huh. Just acknowledging that, I mean, to this day, I don't know exactly the emotion I was feeling, but just acknowledging it and allowing myself to feel it, I was able to come back into that conversation, and it had lessened quite a lot. And when I told my therapist this, she said, yeah, sometimes your emotions just want to be heard. So I allowed myself to hear that emotion, to feel it, and then I could come back into a conversation where I had 30 seconds ago wanted to bolt. I wanted to get up and bolt, but I didn't, and I was okay. So it's something that you can try the next time you feel triggered or really heavy emotion. Instead of trying to push it away, allow it to fill you up and ask yourself those questions. Number 2, anxiety affects everything. That might seem obvious to some people, but to me, it didn't. I didn't even know I suffered from anxiety until like last year. I had no idea the impact that it had on my life. And I look back at my childhood now and I'm like, how did no one know I had anxiety? Like, there are so many trigger points that I was like, how did no one know? But I was talking to my mum about this, and she was like, well, every kid's different anyway. And she was like, you know, we just thought that was Ashley, which is true, but yeah, it's interesting. But I do actually have a little snippet from something that I wrote last year when I realized how much anxiety affected my life, and I'd like to share that with you if you want to listen. So this is not my diary, it's more of a thought journal. I do drawings, I can put my thoughts, I call it my therapy journal, but anyways, I want to read this to you. So, on the 12th of May 2022, this is what I wrote. My anxiety is a lot worse and affects my life way more than I ever realized. I always thought being organized was good. I never realized it stemmed from anxiety. I never realized that anxiety could present itself as ADHD and cause me to forget and think so many things because of all the thoughts rushing through my head. I never realized how much of my life is controlled by anxiety and just how much of my life is influenced by it. I now realize how much I feel anxious and understand how that affects my day-to-day life and not just low points or anxiety meltdowns. I never realized that I was anxious almost 24/7. And if you, like me, suffer from anxiety, I get it. And maybe it affects you more than you realize as well. Number one. The number one tip I have learned in anxiety. It is the thing that I use almost every day. I can use up to like 10 times a day. I use it so often because it works. Because it works. And that is stop. I know. I know that sounds weird and potentially strange if you have never heard this before. But in my first therapy session with my new therapist, my therapist told me to stop. I was midway through a sentence. Like, I was explaining to her something and she told me to stop, and I was like taken aback. I was like, oh, bitch, what are you doing? Like, And she was like, I can feel your anxiety from here. And I had no idea that I was that anxious. And she was like, you need to stop. And from that moment on, we continued working on stopping. Now, this can be mostly from thoughts. It's to stop your thoughts. So, to give an example, I am a daydreamer. I have been for a very long time. It helped me get out of reality and it made me think about nicer things. Recently, I haven't been daydreaming and I didn't realize that that was my anxiety. I had no idea that daydreaming was a part of my anxiety, but a lot of the dreams, like the things I would think about and thoughts, are not productive or helpful. So I'm going to give you an example so you can kind of understand. So I started talking to this guy, and usually when I get feelings for a guy, or like there's a little spark or something, that would turn into an obsession. I would think about them constantly. Like, I'd be thinking about what dates we're going to go on, how this would play out, or whatever. And so my brain did that immediately, and it started thinking about these dates, potentially. And basically, this thought I was having, this daydream, was when I was in a club and he was there too, and then he would kiss me, and I didn't know that my ex was behind me. Oh yeah. Not helpful. Not helpful for anyone involved, but like, that's not helpful for him, that's not helpful for me, and that's not helpful for the person that I'm talking to. So it's just not a good situation, and it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel bad, it makes me feel gross, even though I'm like, yes, I'm trying to show off to my ex, right? But I don't need to. It's just not helpful in any way, shape, or form. So whenever this thought would start coming up in my brain, I would say stop. I go, Ashley, I understand. Always acknowledge. I go, I understand why this is coming up for you. I understand how your brain got here. So we're going to leave it here and we're going to move on to something more constructive. And then I think about what I have to do that day. Or something that you can think about if it's getting really hard. Change your thinking. So then I might change it to something like, okay, well, I can't think about the guy I'm talking to and my ex, so we're going to stop talking about that and we're going to now think about what I would do if I won a holiday, because I had just entered a holiday competition. What would I do if this happened? Because that's not detrimental to my thinking and it can help me. potentially. Or yeah, you can just go, Ashley, you need to focus. Okay, I'm actually meant to be working right now. That happens sometimes too. So then you need to go back and go, no, I'm focusing on what's in front of me. It doesn't have to be daydreams. It can be anything, any thought that comes along. I feel like my friends hate me. For an example, you go, stop. Tell yourself to stop. I always use my name, Ashley. Breathe. Take a deep breath. Acknowledge. I understand why you think this, but we need to come out of this and think about something else. When you force your brain to change directions, it helps you a lot because you're not getting yourself worked up about nothing because it's just your brain spiraling. Now, this is something that takes tremendous practice. So much practice. It is not something that will happen easily. There are many times where I've gone, oh, this is something I probably shouldn't be thinking about. But then I go, no, I'm going to let it out. And then I'll end up crying in the bathroom at work because I let myself feel the emotions of a fake situation, if that makes sense. I hope I can relate to some of you on some extent. I don't just sound crazy. But this is my journey, and this is what I have learnt, and I hope that it can help some of you because I understand that not everyone can go to therapy. I wish you all the best. I hope that one day you can, but for now, maybe you can try stopping yourself, checking in with your emotions, knowing that therapy will always be there if you can get there. And if you do have the opportunity to go, just do it. It'll suck. It'll suck for a while, but I promise it gets better. And maybe I can do something on my therapy journey, but my current therapist is not the therapist I started with. So just so you know. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you can take away something from this and that it's helped you. Bye guys, I'll see you next time. Oh, comment if you want me to do a part 2 of this. Maybe I can help some more of you. Bye.